This is the central section of the left-hand leg. So the bit that's being printed is this middle section in there of the left-hand leg. And this has taken 25 hours, something like that. So here you can see this is the left-hand leg sections. This was the right hand that I did in the previous video. This is the left-hand leg. that's the top section I've already printed. That's the middle section that we just printed a few minutes ago. This is the base. Well, it's the other way around, but you can see what I mean. I've just got to clean off that edge so this will seat in there properly. Well, I'm just getting ready to print the tibia high left, which is on the left hand side. It's that lower section. This is the right hand one. So I've got the left hand one to print. I've got the left hand top section, so I'll also have the other side of that one to print. So I've got that and that on the left hand side to print, which are quite long prints still. So that's this one. I'm going to start now, and this is telling me 1 day. So they're not short prints, and it probably is. I think it was 26 or 25 hours the last print. The one I've just did, which was the one I just did, was the thigh mid left. That took in the end 30 hours, 30 and a half hours. So that was quite a long print as well. So once I've got these 20-hour prints finished, I've also got to print the right hand. That's the ankle section, and again that's I think that was a mere 18 hours or something. They're quite short ones, and I've still got to print this is the left foot, which is still be prepared and stuff. Still got the front bit of that to be printed. I printed the right foot, and then the rest of the ankle joint to be printed on that as well. So that's still got to be going. Right, so my printer is just heating up, as you can see. It's just coming up to 170. I've got a pre-print little program running on the pre-sub, which just allows the print head to be brought up, and you can just clear off any just pan that around. You can clear off any muck, old plastic left on the head, because I was getting some lost prints before. But it'll sit there for about another minute, I think, and then it'll drop down and start doing some print. It just gives you time. It brings up the print head temperature nozzle to 170, so you can just clean it and make sure there's no muck on the bed or anything. And that will go in a few seconds, a minute or two anyway. In the meantime, I'll just pause that. And as we speak, there it goes. So that's now going to print. That's tibia high left, 24-hour print, and that will do 84 meters of filament, which is quite a bit actually. So I think it's about 300 meters on a reel. I've had some almost run out of filament moments recently. That drum, that was on a 24-hour print, so I mean there's probably there's a bit on there, but it could have just gone the other way. So well, while that's printing, let me show you the these are the knee joints of the two legs. This is the left-hand knee joint. So you've got that piece bolts on there. I mean, I've just got a couple of not the right size bolts just to hold it in place. It's not quite lining up, so I think I'm going to have to, when I do get that bolted, it's got to push back a little bit. So that's slightly out, but that's not a big issue. That bit goes on there. There is a piece that goes through here. I'll show you on this one. This is assembled. This is the right hand one. So we've got, and now this doesn't fit at all actually. This top piece, it's slightly, when I was putting it together, let me just show you. This is warped. It's warped in a couple of places. That's warped down on that whole print face there, because that was the print bed. So that's out, and this doesn't fit. So that's going to have to be drilled to sit in there a bit more. It'll once it's drilled out, it's going to be fine. I'm just making that point. That bit goes on top. There is, as you can see, positions for future motors in there and stuff, but Gail's not printing that. Got the you can. I think on the website he's showing a bolt just going through there, but he's also done these knee hole bolts. So that's the knee joint, which is actually that way up, if you see what I mean. So that's the front of the leg, going backwards. But just to lock it all together and everything, there's these temporary pieces which slide in there. This piece goes on there. And another bolt would go through the middle there. And then you can, and then there's a couple of screws that go on the front there just to hold it together. So that's just to hold it in place, really. So both of those are ready to. I'm not quite sure how that's meant to go on, so I assume that maybe just glues and screws onto the top there. But I'll have a look at the layouts later on that. So we're getting there with the leg joints. I've just got to finish printing off the rest of the parts. As I say, still got the feet, the front of the foot to do, the ankle, the left hand ankle, and the lower part of the leg on the left, which is what's printing now. I printed both of the. I will show you. I printed both of the two back pieces, which I've now mounted onto the InMoov. You can see those. So the legs, once I've adjusted all this base and everything, which is not going to happen imminently, I can actually attach the legs. There's also these other small pieces, which you've probably seen on the if you've been looking on the InMoov site. These two sit right underneath the base of the InMoov and take the studding pole straight through the leg if you're going to use it. That sort of bolts onto the underneath of the InMoov itself. Pole goes straight through, and then there's these small little packing pieces which I think when they push, you'll have to have a look at the drawing, but they push against the side of that piece anyway to hold that in place. There's also these pieces which sit, which I'm not using, but would sit in there, if you haven't got a motor in, and that would fit to the ground, so it's like a locking off piece, you know, to hold that base down. But as I say, I'm not using those. I'm going to be modifying this to, this is the wrong size, this is not 4 here, but you can just see what that's going to look like. There's going to be a smaller version in there of this foot. So there's a motor sits in that part of the ankle there, and there's the another motor sits in the bottom of the foot. Gail hasn't released all the designs for these, so this one I can sort of work out. That's not going to be too much of an issue, because that will basically have a gearing on, which will link in with that gear to turn that on there. This one, as I said, this is, if I take that out, this has got to have a linkage which links up with that piece in there. I'm not sure how that's going to work, so I'm going to have a look at that later and see if I can work that one out. So that is down on the legs. That's as far as I've got this weekend.